Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 here from the News Hub at Adisawe, Kanda. I'm Natalie Ford.
And my name is Alfred Okanse. Coming up in the next 60 minutes tonight.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Metro Mass confirms NDC now owes it 1.5 million cedis for use of buses for the 2016 electioneering campaign.
Electricity Company of Ghana says it needs time to restore power to all areas affected by last night's nationwide power outage.
Also, survey in 8th district shows over 2,000 children are involved in Galamsey operations.
And in business tonight, cocoa processing company workers want government to delist the company from the Ghana Stock Exchange due to dwindling performance over the years.
We have the details of these stories, including the very latest from the world of sports and the international community in the next hour. Stay with us.
Okay, let's go on to our first story this evening. The Metro Mass Bus Transit Company says the opposition NDC owes it 1.5 million from bus rental services it offered the party from November to December last year. The services was for the transportation of members of the party to various parts of the country to cast their votes in the December elections. Officer of the bus company, Benis Akologo, she's saying that the company has made attempts at also recovering the money, but have been unsuccessful.
Can you confirm to us whether the opposition National Democratic Congress owes you?
Yes, Komla, they do.
How much?
We rendered a service for them during the elections. They've made part payments. They are yet to redeem the rest.
How much money are we talking about here, and from what period to what period?
The invoice given them was 1.9 million. They've been able to redeem 410,000. And the service was rendered from November 30th to the 7th of December 2016.
What work exactly were you supposed to do for them for which they owe you?
It was a hiring service, a nationwide hiring service. I think it was to help people move around the country to vote. It was a nationwide assignment.
Okay, so what agreements did you reach with the NDC then in government to pay the money? As you have indicated, they've just paid some 400,000 out of the 1.9 million.
This is not the first time we are rendering such a service to any political party, let me put it that way. We did the same thing for the National Democratic Congress when they had their Congress in Cape Coast. It was done on credit, and then they later on redeemed it. So this is not the first time we are having this, yes. So we trust them. That is why we went ahead with that agreement with them.
Let's say a bit further with this. Kofi Adams is or was the 2016 campaign coordinator of the NDC and current national organizer of the party. Kofi, thank you. If you can hear me, good evening to you. Now, you have described this story as diversionary, but let's establish the facts. Did you have 506 buses from the Metro Mass Company Limited?
Good evening to your viewers. We didn't hire 500 buses from Metro Mass.
How many did you hire?
We didn't hire buses. We went into an agreement with them, passengers, and then we will pay on basis. So at the time of them beginning to enter the service, we didn't know the number of buses that will be available. When they finished, they submitted an invoice, a bill with the number of buses.
No, but so I want to find out from you if you have the exact figure, the 506 being
just
quoted.
Let me finish. you can ask your. Otherwise, then you continue asking questions and there will be no answers.
Right.
So I indicated to them at that meeting that we had officers in the region who monitor the activity, and so we are expecting a report from them. They should also go and bring us an itemized bill that indicates that if you say these are the number of buses, which bus went where, and where it picked the people, where it dropped them, for us to be sure, because you don't just bring buses that this number of buses moved without giving us details. They have since not returned with any detailed information.
I say, but you have made some payments to the company. On what basis did you make that payment if an itemized bill is yet to be given to you as a party?
On the basis that we knew there was movement of buses. And so by all means, there will be some payments to be done. So if they bring in the itemized bill, then we will know whether we'll have some top-up to do or what we have paid is enough, or they even will have to give us a refund. So surely there was a service that was rendered. And this is not the first time they've rendered service to us. When we launched our campaigns in Cape Coast, it was the same Metro Mass that rendered services to us. That one, we knew the number of buses that they were moving, so it was not in contest. We had 275 constituencies, and we knew that for each constituency, a bus was going to go for that service. So provision was made and payment was done.
I see. But in this case, you did not know the number of vehicles, the number of buses, but you made payment anyway. How much exactly have you paid? I mean, as we speak.
We paid 410. No, at the time we made the payment, they had given indication that for as far as they are concerned, these are the number of buses. And without providing us with details, I said, no, we can't make payment without details. So we needed some details to be able to do payment. So that detail is yet to come.
I see. Now, so what plan is there in place to pay the rest of the money that you owe this particular company?
To pay which money? Who has established that there is debt? You have not established that there is debt. So how do you go and pay when you have not established? You think that if I ask TV3 that do announcements for me from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., then you bring me a bill that you did 100 announcements. And I'm asking you that, okay, I know I've gone into an agreement with you to do adverts. I'm going to pay you this amount of money. But bring me detailed itemized bill that from 7 a.m. at this minute I did this announcement. At this other minute I did that announcement. I will reconcile that with my checks and then we will agree on the bill. You haven't done so and then you say that there's a bill. How am I going to pay it?
They indicate that they brought a pro forma invoice to you.
We can now talk about the payment.
They indicate they brought a pro forma invoice to you, I mean the party, about this particular figure that you owe them, 1.5 million cedis.
I'm saying it is that pro forma invoice that we ask. There's no, you don't just bring pro forma without details attached. Is that what, if they bring you that, if you were an NDC officer, you just go and pay side bill without details? Is that what you are telling me?
So you're looking for detail before you agree to pay them?
Before you be able to pay.
But service was rendered by the company.
Nobody is doubting that such services were rendered. Service was rendered. But how much was rendered must be checked. And it is through an itemized detailed bill that you'll be able to check. Without that, how will you be able to know? And you don't just get up there and go and pay because you've thrown a bill at you.
So if I get an understanding, you doubt this figure that is being thrown at you?
If the figure was correct, would have just gone ahead to do payment.
I see.
It was, and the officers who came and then we had discussion, I see that there was something that they must do with the figure that they brought.
Okay. Kofi, thank you. Kofi Adams is the national organizer of the NDC. He was a campaign coordinator of the party now up to the general elections in 2016.
Alfred, but let's turn our attention to other stories now. Residents who are still without power might have to endure a little longer, as the ECG says it would restore electricity supply to all 6 regions affected by the power surge Wednesday. Earlier today, the Electricity Company of Ghana confirmed it had restored power to 90% of affected areas.
According to Gridco, they had a surge within their system last night, and we lost the tie from their end. We operate within 6 regions, and I'm sure all the 6 regions had some issues as far as power is concerned.
When should consumers expect power back?
The chief executive alluded to the fact that by 10 a.m. today, they would have picked all areas. If they picked at 10 o'clock, it doesn't mean we can also give every customer within the same period. Some can be cleared within minutes, others within some hours. Others
by close of day, should we?
Yes, let's hope so. But some fault can take a day. When that happens, we will come back to inform customers the reason why they are still off.
Right, so cold store operators in Kumasi say Wednesday night's nationwide blackout and rainstorm will cause huge losses at Safo. A major area of cold store operators is still without light 24 hours after the downpour destroyed electric cables in the area.
The downpour in Kumasi led to the destruction of several billboards and electricity cables along the Cocoa Clinic Abinchi Road. Most of the cables fell on the road, leading to power outage in parts of Abinchi and Asafo, where most cold store operators conduct their business. Some of the electricity poles are on the verge of collapse and need to be replaced. Cold store operators claim the power outage is likely to cause them huge losses if not restored as early as possible. Officials of ECG have assured traders to address the power situation soon.
Meanwhile, as a result of Wednesday night's blackout, some patients at the Mamprobi Polyclinic could not receive treatment. Patients lamented they have not been attended to. While some patients were seated, others were lying on the hospital benches, waiting for nurses and doctors to attend to them. A nurse who did not speak on camera attributed the slow pace of work to Wednesday night's power outage. Although the hospital has a generator, it was not functioning. Efforts to speak to the administrator proved futile.
Let's go on to some stories where more than 200 hawkers at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle have been displaced in Thursday morning's demolishing exercise by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. The exercise, according to the AMA officials, is to restore sanity on pavements in the capital. We would get you details of that particular story with that decongestion exercise earlier today. But accusations of witchcraft is affecting development of women and children in most communities in the northern part of the country. First educated chief of Badura Kura Duarana is reconstructing societal beliefs and perceptions through education and other activities. Eva Tiboka's report.
Women and their children continue to suffer the brunt of trumped-up charges of witchcraft in most villages. While victims are sometimes maimed, those who escape lynching say they come from communities farther away from police posts. Journeying to safety is a dent of luck, and only few arrive at the camps alive. Life is unbearable at the Gambaga camp. Time had taken a toll on some of them, as most wobbled and dragged themselves along the confines of the camp. Some had lost count of how long they had lived here, literally accepting their fate, and the camp as a place of refuge. Driven out of their communities in pain, sorrow and anguish, the women say stereotyping has affected their growth and development. A brighter future for their children is not guaranteed. The chief of Badukura, Na Badurana III, is reconstructing traditional belief and practices that curtail the right of women through education.
People are still holding on to old traditional beliefs that are not helping us, and more so, they are affecting women. And one of them is the accusation of women as witches and banishing them to the Gambagas witch camp.
he has launched an NGO to tackle the problem.
It is my wish and my will and my desire that no woman from my village should ever be sent there. These are very sensitive issues that cannot just be handled anyhow. They are technical and need to be tackled technically.
Back to our earlier story, more than 200 hawkers at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle have been displaced in Thursday morning's demolition exercise by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. The exercise, according to AMA officials, is to restore sanity on pavements.
The joint operation by the Special Task Force of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the police started 6:30 Thursday morning. More than 300 wooden structures belonging to hawkers were demolished and set ablaze. The frontage of the pedestrian shopping mall, the Kaneshi station, as well as illegal structures along the Odo River were all cleared. The street light was also destroyed by the fire in the course of burning the destroyed structures. Food sellers compelled to abandon business. Public Relations Officer of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Numo Blafo, affirmed the exercise is a timely intervention to restore sanity and decongest pavements at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. He also outlined plans to replicate the exercise in other areas.
This is to serve as a warning that the statements that we have issued over and over, the engagement we have had with them over and over, we are coming.
Circle Director of Operations of the AMA, Yakubu Abane Asoko, said AMA has since Thursday deployed city guards to enforce the law. He also said the AMA will not hesitate to deal with members who extort money from hawkers and allocate them space.
We will make sure the guards they work effectively so that we will succeed in this exercise. We are going to give you this kind of money or whatever. So with that, I know if somebody takes money, the colleague will report him.
Some traders were infuriated as a result of the demolition exercise want government to intervene.
And our survey conducted by Child Rights International in 8 districts of the country has revealed over 2,000 children are involved in galamsey activities. The Child Rights Protection Organization is calling on government to put up a social protection policy for these affected children as it fights to curb the menace.
The survey was conducted between January and February this year in some 8 mining districts of the country which have been affected by galamsey operations. These included Etriman Punya, Etriman Wabieja, Bibieni Esunafo North and South, and Ahafuano North and South districts. The study assessed the implications of illegal mining on the child, their families and community. The survey identified over 2,000 children involved in galamsey operations, of which 882 were involved in child labor and 854 involved in hazardous work. These children were between 5 years and 17 years. The Child Rights International says government must look at the social protection implication on the people, including children, and put measures in place to draw them into a social safety net.
Now, this situation is particularly worrying, as you saw in the story there, because these children are below the working age, are in school-going age, 5 years to 17 years of age. Now, over 2,000 children are involved in galamsey activities, 882 involved in child labor, while 854 are involved in hazardous work. That just goes to elaborate what was in the story earlier there. And so the Child Rights Organization has put up a call to government for a social protection policy to be put in place to back up the efforts that are being put in place to end the galamsey menace. And so I'm joined in studio here by Bright Appiah. He's the Executive Director of Child Rights International. Good evening. Welcome to News 360. Now, Bright, it's clearly worrying. There are a lot of children who are involved in this practice, and Child Rights International is making this appeal to government. It obviously is a worry for you, but first of all, in your projections, having engaged with some of these children, what are the reasons they give for taking part in such a hazardous venture?
I think the basic one that they talk about has to do with the poverty, which of course they think that parents are not taking care of them, so they have to find ways and means to survive, which of course that is what account for some of the things. And some also feel that the classroom is not conducive for them, you know, so because we realized that when we even did the interview, some of them left the classroom because of certain words that were spoken.
They feel the classroom is not conducive.
Yeah, it's because they feel that teachers speak certain words to them that makes their classroom more comfortable for them.
They prefer the Galamsey
so they
side.
prefer being the Galamsey side than to be in the classroom. And some too, for the basic things that they have to run with, the uniform, books, and other things, they feel that no. And they see their colleagues go to the side today to get a daily money to survive on, so they feel that that would be comfortable for them to do that.
So you'd say it's mainly economic?
It's economic issues, yes.
Okay. Now, the survey was conducted in 8 districts, or it covered 8 districts, mentioned Etrima, Mponya, Etrima, Inuabeja. Now, which areas were the most prevalent out of these districts that were covered?
I think when you look at BPNE, we recorded a lot of people, and then in Etrima, Mponya, and then also Esunafo, South and North. You know, you realize that yes, there are some issues that prevail in terms of the children who are engaged in Galamsey. There are certain districts that, in terms of children who are engaged in, they are very, you'll find 1 or 2 that are engaged in that. So it also shows that the district is taking steps to address the issues. But BBNE and Chumamponia and then the Afwano, North and South, you see that there's a lot of children who are engaged in those kind of activities.
Okay, so what's the way out? Because your organization or the organization you work with is putting up this policy, making this proposal to government. You've underscored the fact that it's mainly economically driven from your interactions with these children. What exactly would you say is the way out for them? And what plans, what schemes would you suggest are put in place to actually get them out through this policy you're proposing?
Yeah, well, we think that we need to create a safety net for them. Once we, as a nation, we are taking steps to deal with the Galamsey issue, of course, it is a call that we all support, but we think that in the process of doing that, there are certain measures that we need to put in place. One of them has to do with creating the social safety net, and then also carry out investigations about the status of families who are involved in Galamsey, and then provide them the kind of support that they need. Because some of the children have been in that environment for more than 3 years, and they don't see anything wrong with what they are doing. And they also don't have any sort of alternative when they leave that environment. So we need to also place them under the maintenance and rehabilitation program of the state, so that once they leave that environment, we can define appropriate environment for them to live, especially when it comes to their right to education. And then those who are above 15 years to 17 years, we can find certain apprenticeship programs for them or technical and vocational skills program for them, because some of them have been on that field, and because of that, they've never stepped their foot in the classroom before. So we cannot just allow them to go. And carrying out such a policy also will create some sort of casualties. And if the casualties is as a result of the social environment, then it means that we need a social policy to address it. That is why we are saying that since government is taking this step, then in the process of rolling out your program, then you also have to create a social safety net, exactly, so that you can place these people in and then provide them with the support that they need. Because we don't want a situation where you end up resolving the issue of Galamsey, and then you end up also creating another issue within the social environment and all that. So all the policy that government is trying to create should be holistic, looking at the military intervention, which is also good, because that would also help us to prevent our water bodies, and then also the ecosystem that we have. But there's also another component that for me we have neglected, that is creating the social environment, you know, the safety net, so that we can also put in people that we can support. Because we have already taken steps. We have identified about 50 children who are working the Galamsey site that we've put some of them on scholarships, some of them they want to do apprenticeship. And then some of them also want to go into technical vocation. So we have resources that we are giving them to do that. But since government is taking a nationwide activity, we think that government need to also, we are doing this only in 8 districts, but the issue of Galamsey goes beyond the 8 districts. So government need to take up the rest of it and then see how best they can resolve this issue. Exactly.
Sources of livelihood. Grateful for your time, Brian Tapia, this evening on News 360. He's the Executive Director of Child Rights International. In other stories this evening, oil marketing company Goil has donated 1,000 pieces of hospital beds to some needy hospitals in the 10 regions of the country. Group Executive Group Chief Executive Patrick Akoli affirmed the gesture is in line with the company's plan of retooling needy healthcare facilities across the country.
GOIL was incorporated as a private limited liability company in 1960 and currently has 250 service stations nationwide. In fulfillment of its corporate social responsibility and enhance its corporate image, management presented 1,000 units of hospital beds to be distributed to needy healthcare facilities in all 10 regions of the country. Ashanti and Greater Accra regions have been designated to receive 150 beds each. The Upper East and West regions will receive 50 beds each, while the remaining 6 regions will receive 100 beds each. Group Chief Executive Officer, who doubles as Managing Director Patrick Akoli, is confident the gesture will promote health delivery.
We realize that there's been reports of lack of hospital beds in our hospitals, and then our pregnant women don't have beds to lie on. So we thought we should do something big. That's why we brought in this 1,000 beds.
Deputy Minister of Health, Tina Mensah, thanked GOIL for the intervention.
We have a growing population that we have to have infrastructures and equipment to tally with it. So, and the government alone cannot do it. So if entities and corporations can come in our aid like GOIL has done today, I think the ministry should be very grateful.
Let's find out how the weather will be throughout the night into tomorrow morning.
Still watching News 360. This bulletin is live on 3news.com as well as News on TV3 on Facebook and GhanaWeb.com. We return with the very latest from the world of business shortly. Stay with us.
It's News 360 and it's time for business. Good evening. My name is Nanekia Mensah Brampa. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies, AOMC's 48-hour ultimatum to government to stop the black market sale of fuel has expired. Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer Kweku Agyeman-Duah has hinted the association is consulting members on the next series of action they might take should government fail to respond to their concerns. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies threatened to take series of actions that would force the government to act against the menace should government fail in the 48-hour ultimatum. The CEO of the association, Kweku Agyeman-Duah, is of the view the situation is a major threat to the economy and national security with implications on government revenue. These black market dealers are exempted from taxes and other levies because per the arrangement they are to export the petroleum products but sell the fuel in Ghana, leading to tax evasion.
Government lost a whopping 850 million Ghana cedis last year. February we had a shortfall of 19%, and if it continues this trend, government is going to lose over 1 billion Ghana cedis this year. 1 billion cedis can sponsor free SHS, can even pay the arrears that NHIS government owes them, which is about 1.2 billion.
The association fears the black market dealers are collapsing the downstream petroleum sector in the country. The CEO indicated oil marketing companies are finding it difficult to service their loans and pay employees as volumes are going down because of the black market sales.
Some of our members have started laying off some of their employees, starting from the north. And the tendency is that if this issue continues, by the end of May, we'll have our 4,000 of our workforce will be laid off. So we expect the government to come with its full might.
The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, has expressed concern on the standard of fuel being sold by the black market dealers.
You are talking about 9 to 13% of all that we consumed coming from these black market smugglers. Invariably, the products are not tested. And so you cannot even tell whether the products are good enough for our vehicles in the country or not.
The Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, has challenged government to prosecute those mandated to make sure the sector is well regulated.
Next time when someone is put at Tema Harbour to safeguard our interests as a people, they would not want to go and line their pockets with 1,000 Ghana, 50 Ghana, 100 Ghana. Security officials who should have blocked these operations from going on seem to be very reluctant and are not even bothered.
Well, interestingly, we have oil prices on the world markets now going for $45 per barrel. They're still dropping lower as expected for the month. Now, let's continue. On workers of the cocoa processing company wants government to delist the company from the Ghana Stock Exchange due to its dwindling performance over the years. They contend it will be financially viable for government to delist and control the company since it is the majority shareholder.
Cocoa Board owns about 57% of the shares, whilst the Ministry of Finance owns about 26%, with SNIT controlling about 11%. The remaining shares, which is less than 10%, is owned by individuals. CPC, Cocoa Processing Company, producers of chocolate, have been performing poorly for some time now. Workers say the listing from the Ghana Stock Exchange was the best option out.
It is not attractive on the stock exchange. For that matter, if we delist, it will be better. Cocoa Board financing can be in different forms, giving a company a loan, recapitalizing it, or giving it the raw material to work. And we think Cocoa Board will be in a better position to supply the beans if they are the sole owner.
CPC is one of the few remaining and existing factories built by the late and first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Managing Director of CPC, Dr. Frank Asante, explained the current state of the debt and how it can be financed to solve its dwindling fortunes.
With the Cocoa Board debt, we believe that if they can give us cocoa beans, we should be able to process. All proceeds from the sale of our product is lodged in a bank account from where those we owe, like the syndicated banks and Cocoa Board, draw their money.
All right, so later on we'll be looking at the implications of CPC delisting from the Ghana Stock Exchange. Well, let's move on to some more stories. And the demand for parcel delivery and other courier services using motorcycles appears to be on the increase. Our business desk takes a look at how motorbike delivery service is fast becoming a means for faster-paced business transactions and other door-to-door businesses.
Some time back, one could access a courier service only when imported items were due for delivery. In Ghana, DHL, EMS, and FedEx were household names. With time, more indigenous individuals and companies have joined the business. Meet Nazir Idriso, a postgraduate diploma holder who saw a niche market in the courier service business in 2014.
From my savings from the national service, I intended to buy a motorbike. So as I bought the motorbike, started doing some deliveries. I started Okada at Tama Station. I worked about a year and saved a lot of money and got registered at the Register General Department as a courier company.
The birth of African Express deliveries has helped create more jobs in the country.
We've created about 50 jobs, direct jobs, and indirectly we've worked about 300 people indirectly, because what we do is, first, we help corporate persons and institutions, especially SMEs, to utilize more than 24 hours. We help them to open up their markets.
Nazir tells us starting the company came with its own challenges. But with his team, They make about 30% of the amount invested, depending on the number of motorbikes used and fuel consumed. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the country's gross domestic product advanced 4.1% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2016, with the main drivers of growth being the services and industrial sector. Like Nazir, other delivery service companies are hopeful the local courier business has come to stay. Despite its convenience and fast pace, dispatch riders also have their peculiar challenges. Anita Abaka is the CEO of Mrika Courier Services.
Getting direction from the client, it has really been a problem because someone will tell you, I'm in Kaswa, and I'll dispatch the rider. When he gets to Kaswa, probably after the toll booth, and the person will say, no, come ahead. The person will start moving and you end up almost getting to Winneba, which is really bad.
We are able to deliver our items to our clients on time using the motorcycle, because with that they are able to maneuver through traffic as fast as they can to deliver any item.
Right, definitely you can tell this is not what I do, but for the courier services, they are ready to take over and thrive in the urban areas. Gradually, they are gaining popularity all over, talking about convenience and delivering your goods and services. Ready, set to deliver. Coming to you from Odoko, my name is Nanekia Mensah Abrampa for TV3 News. Well, maybe I have to sharpen my skills on that motorcycle, but that will do for business tonight. You can log on to our website, 3news.com. My name is Nanekia Mensah Abrampa. Good evening.